And good afternoon. I am back. It is 12:20 on Thursday, December 16th. And I haven't been, on the bike making a video in about a month. I posted a few videos in the last month, but they were not videos taken from the bike. So it's a beautiful day. It's 62 degrees right now. And I decided to get the bike out and take a ride over to Cape May. I don't have anything specific to talk about on this ride. And I don't know that there's anything to see that I haven't shown many times before, but nevertheless, I thought it would be, I'm going to take a ride, so I would put the GoPro on the helmet and record the ride for anybody that wants to see Cape May in December. I think Cape May is like a Charles Dickens village. It's really beautiful at this time of year, with all the B&Bs decorated for the holiday and lit up, and it's just beautiful. And I actually wanted to record a ride through town at night, and I've done a couple of nighttime rides in the past, but if anybody ever took a look at them, they don't really turn out. And the reason that they don't turn out is the camera that I'm using is about 10 years old, and the current versions of GoPro are much better at recording nighttime videos. But the only thing I use the GoPro for is to record these rides on the motorcycle, and I don't want to invest the money to buy a brand new GoPro just for the purpose of recording nighttime rides. So I tried it a couple of times, and it just doesn't turn out. It's not nearly representative of how nice town is. I'm going past the marina right now, crossing the bridge over into Cape May. So I'm not going to be putting any nighttime rides on this channel, as long as I'm riding a couple of updates, I guess, consistent with what I've done in the past year, a COVID update. Like most places in the Northeast, COVID cases are rising pretty significantly down here in Cape May County. The county publishes an update every, I'm not sure how frequently they do it, at least once a week. And the update that they posted yesterday morning indicated that there were now 637 active cases of COVID in the county. And I can recall not long ago, that number was in the 300s. And they stopped publishing the rate of transmission. If anybody has watched any of my previous videos, when I was giving an update on the COVID situation, I would always quote the RT statistic, rate of transmission, or otherwise referred to as R0. And they no longer publish that, which I think is telling. When it was below 1.0, that was an indication that the virus was being contained and not spreading in the community. But since the cases have been jumping up, they discontinued publishing that, which fools absolutely no one. But Cape May is no different than every place else. COVID is rising rapidly. I don't know if Omicron is present down here in Cape May County or not. But I guess you can't blame the rise in cases down here now on out-of-towners coming in, because this is not the tourist season, and the cases are really spiking. But it's I don't believe death counts are spiking or anything like that. So I think Cape May County continues to be, if not the highest, or one of the top two counties in the state of New Jersey for vaccine penetration. So that's a good thing. My wife and I, this past Monday, took our grandkids and our daughter up to New York City for the day. We do that every year prior to the pandemic. We didn't do it last year because of COVID, but we did it this week. We went up there on Wednesday, and I'll tell a little bit about what New York City is like right now with the COVID restrictions that have been reimposed by Mayor de Blasio and the governor of the state of New York. So, first of all, my wife and I wanted to, we sort of have adopted the philosophy that we're not going to stop living our lives because of COVID, but we do want to be prudent and be somewhat disciplined in our behavior. So we both have had both shots of the vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, and we both have had the booster shot. So normally what we would do on our trips to New York is we would take the kids on the train out of Trenton up into Penn Station. And the train was never crowded in the morning, but when we leave New York, it's around rush hour, and the train is always jam-packed at rush hour. And I mean jam-packed, like you are literally shoulder to shoulder with people. And that made us a little uncomfortable. So this year we decided to drive up to New York. So we drove into New York, and we went over went through the Lincoln Tunnel, and we parked in Uptown around 57th Street, somewhere around just below Central Park. And we went to the places that we go to all the time every year. We went into American Girl store, except this year, instead of the purpose of that being my older granddaughter, this year it was to get my youngest granddaughter her first American Girl doll. So and that's right off of Rockefeller Center. So we went there first. Then we walked over to FAO Schwartz and get something for my grandson, who decided to get a drone, some kind of looks like a military helicopter, but it's a drone. And from there we went to I guess Hollister's on 5th Avenue. I think it was on 5th Avenue, and got some clothes for my oldest granddaughter. We went into St. Patrick's Cathedral. I don't think grandkids had ever seen the inside of St. Patrick's, so as long as we were up there, we did that. We went to the Rockefeller Center. My granddaughter and grandson liked to ice skate there, but we were not able to do that this year because they were sold out for the day. So we weren't able to do that. We went to down to Times Square. The kids always get a kick out of seeing Times Square. We went to eat at Hard Rock Cafe right on Times Square, and I guess I'll comment a little bit about how. Let me just stop and show the mall. So let me talk a little bit about the restrictions and the protocols in place in New York. So the first thing was not really a restriction, but we chose to drive in so as to not put ourselves on the train coming out of Penn Station for a 2-hour train ride with a jam-packed train. The next thing was the governor has imposed indoor mask mandates for the whole state, which obviously includes New York City. And the mayor of New York has imposed proof of vaccine requirement or mandate to get into any eating establishment. So when we went to, and I guess I should also mention that requirement that Mayor de Blasio has decided to impose was being expanded to include children over 5 years old. But it was going to be effective on Tuesday, December 14th. Now, we had originally planned to go up to New York in the middle of this week, but because of that vaccine requirement that the mayor was imposing to get into any eating establishment that was supposed to kick in on Tuesday, and my 3 grandkids are not vaccinated. They have had COVID, but they are not vaccinated. So we moved the timing of our trip up to Monday. So we went into, as an example, when we went into Hard Rock Cafe, they had what can only be described as like a bouncer at the front door. And this guy looked like a linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he was making everyone show a photo ID and a proof of full vaccination in order to get through the front door. So my wife, my daughter, and I had no problem with that. We showed the photo ID, we showed our proof of vaccination. The kids were not required to show proof of vaccination, so we were able to go into the Hard Rock. And then in the Hard Rock, I don't know if they're formally limiting capacity to 50% or whether they were just sort of opportunistically spacing people out, but there was nobody in the booths on either side of us. So they seem to be seating people in every other booth. And of course they had big plexiglass partitions up between each booth. So, you know, that was sort of the situation in the Hard Rock. All the stores that we went in, we all had to have masks on. And I think everybody's sort of, unfortunately, gotten accustomed to wearing masks these days. I'm not talking much about the scenes that I'm seeing here because I think I've talked about them so many times. This is obviously the Cove. And then we headed back. And the other thing I would say that we did as part of our sort of effort to be a little cautious, is when we took this trip in the past, we would always ride the subway, because going from Midtown to Uptown is 15 to 20 blocks. So to walk from 57th down to, say, 40th Street, which is right around where Times Square is, you're talking about 17 city blocks. And then to go from Rockefeller Center over to, Avenue of the Americas or Broadway, that's another few blocks. So all told, up and back, it's about a 40-block walk. And we would normally just jump on the subway and ride the subway. But this past week, we decided to walk, and my daughter brought her stroller for the my 3-year-old granddaughter. And it turned out to be a beautiful day, so it was not bad at all. As a matter of fact, the pictures that we took of all of us, at various places on Rockefeller Center and in Times Square, actually took our jackets off and laid the jackets in the base of the stroller. So it was a beautiful day, no rain. And then, when we were done, we walked back uptown and, got the car and drove home. So, and I would say my observations were that, and I asked my wife about this because I was telling my friend, and she agreed, and I said, I estimate that about 50% of the people that we saw outside were wearing masks. Masks are not required in New York State outdoors. The governor's mandate applies to indoor settings, not outdoor settings. So the 50% of the people that were wearing masks outdoors were doing so on their own initiative. And I think it's probably, I don't know that it's necessarily fear of COVID as much as convenience, because when you're up there sort of as a tourist, every building that you walk in, you have to put your mask on, and they have people stationed at the door, not like the bouncer at Hard Rock, but they will have an employee at the door that will make sure that you're wearing a mask before you enter the store. And it becomes a bit of a hassle to, every time you go in one store and walk out and go next door to go into another store, to constantly be taking off your mask and putting it back on. So I think, what a lot of people do, and I think this is what my wife and I sort of found ourselves doing, we ended up, I think, wearing the mask probably 75% of the day. We obviously did not wear the mask when we were in Hard Rock Cafe eating lunch, but we just got tired of taking it off, and then you walk 10 feet, we go into another store to sort of look around and have to get the mask out and put it back on. So we just, I think a lot of people might be doing that. So I would say 50% of the people that we saw outdoors, and we walked all over from Midtown to Uptown. We didn't go downtown, but I'm sure it's the same down there. 50% of the people that we saw were wearing masks. So, that's sort of what's happening on the COVID front from my perspective. I'll just turn here instead of going all the way down to Poverty Beach. My wife and I will be coming back over into town this evening for dinner with my father-in-law and his friend. They had some nice parades here. They had a Christmas parade over in North Cape May, and I was really tempted to record that and post a video of that, but I decided to head home because the weather looked very threatening, and towards the end of the parade the skies really did open up, and there was a downpour. There was a parade in Cape May, but even the Facebook groups that my wife belongs to had all kinds of messages like advising people don't even attempt to cross over either bridge, the West Cape May Canal Bridge or the bridge that I crossed on this ride by the harbor to try to get into Cape May. The traffic was backed up so bad that you just couldn't get in town. And then there was also a West Cape May Christmas parade, and I don't think we were down here for that. So bottom line is I did not get any of the parades on film, but they would have only been a stationary standpoint on my iPhone, because again this GoPro does not record nighttime videos very well. So I know recording Cape May at 12:30 in the afternoon doesn't really show the sort of the festive decorations across town the way you get if you're riding through town at night. But I think there's probably other YouTube videos of Cape May at night that anybody that's interested in that can just do a search and find plenty of other videos. So I think that's about it, I guess. I'll find some place to pull over and stop the video. Wanted to just really get out on the bike. It's such a beautiful day. As you can see, there's really no clouds in the sky. It's in the low 60s, and wind is very minor, so I'm not even wearing a jacket, I'm just wearing a sweatshirt. You can see these parking spots are all taken, so there's a pretty good crowd in town right now for a Thursday afternoon. So I think I'll pull over here and stop the video. So that's it. Again, it's Thursday, December 16th, and it's about 12:50 now. So thanks for watching, and I will record the ride back to North Cape May, consistent with what I typically do. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.